The second I got off this boat, I was like, texting my agent, I've won a fucking BAFTA. I've got a fucking BAFTA and you've made me do the big boat fucking comedy show. I have never seen the colour of sick come out of my body since I was at you. I was like, that was Jaeger bombs sick.
Welcome to Before the Lights. If you're new here, we're a team of health professionals based in London who train people from all over the creative world to get ready for TV, film, even live shows, but most importantly, for everyday life. I'm Dave Hasty.
I'm George Ashwell.
I'm Georgia Canavan.
And I'm Josh Betteridge.
We've been lucky enough to build a pretty special group of members here at the club, so we thought it would be nice for other people to get to know some of them as well as we do.
I was like, I need to start going to the gym. So I literally got out my laptop, and was like, PTs for actors.
Welcome to Before the Lights podcast, guys. I'm Greg James. With me over here is Dangerous Dave, and here is Evil George. And today we're talking grind set.
Grind set.
It's not about mindset, guys. It's about grind set.
It was the very first time I met you when you came in and you actually had to run off and be sick in the toilet.
You feel quite vulnerable when you're kind of lying on your back with your legs up in the air because you feel sick. Just breathing, and I'm like, this never happens. I'm so sorry.
So sit back, only do some exercise if you want to, and maybe even learn something about how to look after yourself. Welcome back to the Before the Lights podcast, and today I'm joined by George.
I am here, yes.
You don't know about this bit unless you've listened to the podcast.
I have listened to it.
Okay,
I listened
so
to the
you do know
Siobhan
about this
McSweeney
bit,
episode of the podcast.
where I asked George or Josh what they've been doing, and neither of them like it. But
Oh.
George has been doing things.
I've
He
been
just
doing
got
things.
back.
Yeah, I've just got
Been
back
away?
from Morocco. I've been away for most of this year in Morocco. So I am now back in rainy England, and it is dull and grey.
Are you back for good?
I'm back for good. I'm done.
How long have you
Wrapped.
been? When did you get back?
Yesterday.
Great. Have you done any PT sessions?
We
with
haven't
people?
introduced
One.
you yet.
And then I'm going, oh, sorry.
And then you're number 3, yes. You are my third one back.
We'll
that
bring him in
person.
because he's desperate to talk.
No, sorry, I didn't realise.
You can say whatever you like, to be fair.
It's great.
This is you talking is the main reason we're all sat here.
Yeah,
so
you just wanted to know if you were my
The
favourite.
you in question, anyway, is lovely Jack Rooke.
Here he is.
Hello.
And listeners, I think, will know Jack as a very successful screenwriter.
It has
Is
been.
that how you describe yourself?
I've dabbled. I've dabbled.
Big Boys was a huge success.
No,
I think
thank
that's kind of the main thing that, just hitting my microphone, would kind of put you in the public sphere.
I mean, look, I've done a lot of other failed projects before Big Boys.
Mhm.
I'd say like some to mild levels of success, but I think every failure leads to something great. You know?
Yeah,
I can't wait to actually start failing more.
Again.
I need to start failing again.
You're
To be honest,
doing your own-
I have actually been doing some making
good
some
failing.
cock-ups in the last couple of months, so that's all good. That's quite good to know.
Thank God for
And
that.
with each cock-up, I'm like, well, great, because I had to cock up quite a lot to then do something successful. So I think cocking up is part of the process.
Well, you say it in a very funny
I
way,
keep saying
but I think
cocking
it's
up
like
a lot. I do apologise. I've turned this into a sort of episode of Loose Women. I'm sorry.
You do say it in a funny way, but it is, in essence, that is like the truth behind the people that we are lucky enough to meet and work with. That is how often they've got to where they've got to, is by taking the chance and not being scared to make a mistake and all the rest of it. And like,
Yeah.
you make a joke of it, but that really is the truth, isn't it? A lot of the time?
Yeah.
It's talent and luck.
I think so. I think I'm a big believer in failure. Like I'm currently at the moment planning a tour that I'm doing later on this year of my first Edinburgh show that I did in 2015. We just did a couple of weeks at Soho Theatre and it was great.
Very
which was
sad I missed.
Sold
But
out.
we're
like,
doing
so
it
fast,
again.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It sold out so fast, which was so nice for my self-esteem. Because I really panicked and I was getting ready to like buy flyers and like go outside Pret on Greek Street and be like, please come to the show, and then it sold out in like 4 hours. So that was nice. But yeah, we're going to do a big UK tour. But the show at the time when I first did it was called Jack Rooke, Good Grief, and it was a sort of show all about kind of loss, and I wrote it with my nan, and it was specifically about losing my dad as a teenager and her experience of losing a child as a parent. And it you know, it's a really nice but not overly successful, but did pretty well as like an Edinburgh Fringe debut show. And then for the 10-year later sort of decade retrospective, I have called it Jack Rooke's Good Grief, a decade retrospective of capitalising on my dead dad to varied levels of failure and success. And a lot of it is talking about the failures in the middle, which I quite like, because whenever I've seen people do, especially when an Edinburgh show has then become a TV show, you sort of do a bit of a victory lap, like, and that's great because it's so nice. I mean, I saw Phoebe Waller-Bridge do Fleabag both originally and then like 5 years later when Fleabag had blown up on TV, and it is great. And Richard Gadd, I'm sure, will do the same with Baby Reindeer and blah blah blah. But for me, I was like, well, Big Boys isn't either of those shows. It's somewhere in the middle, and it's very like cut and paste, and it's not had like a huge Amazon or Netflix budget. And I was like, yeah, I want to do the show that it became about, but also like talk about all the failures and mistakes and the times where, you know, I've made some shocking work in the middle. Some stuff that, like, thankfully I've managed to get erased from the internet. But you know, yeah.
That brings us nicely into the introduction that you became a BTL member, but there's also a connection within this room. So our producer Jimmy and yourself went to university together.
We went to university
and
together.
Jimmy has mentioned that he has seen probably every version of some of the shows that you've done through that kind of phase of your life at university.
Jimmy would have seen me do some terrible spoken word, really ropey.
Spoken word.
I'm a recovering spoken word artist. I've been about 8-9 years in recovery now. Click, 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 click. A lot of Big Boys is just me like really ripping the spoken word community to shreds. Look, I've got some friends who are still poets and they're very good, but I was not. So that's that.
Were you a serious poet?
No, every now and then I would try to do a serious poem and then put a couple of jokes in. I think that was my first like experience of sort of trying to write like stuff about, you know, emotional issues or stuff that was autobiographical or like lived experience, for want of a less pretentious term, and then put jokes in there. Like I did always try to make them a bit funny. I think one of my first poems was about, after my dad died, everybody dropping around lasagnas and like leaving them on the doorstep and running back into their car and just being like, oh, there's a lasagna on the doorstep. It's from Tracy, great. And then me and my mum sort of tasting them all and kind of like slagging off the shit ones. Can I swear on this?
You can swear all you want.
Fuck. But yeah, so I think Jimmy probably saw some of those poems, and then I used to host a night called Bang Said the Gun. Did you come to Bang? Yeah. I used to host a night called Bang Said the Gun, and
I'm trying to imagine you two not the age you are now. I'm quite struggling.
Jimmy looks exactly the same. He's not aged a day. I look like a ball bag. I've aged so badly. Jimmy looks 23.
I could also picture you as a student having like the youngest face in the world.
Yeah. I had a real baby face and huge hair.
And really big hair.
To be honest, I looked young until Series 1 of Big Boys. The stress of that did me over bad. Really bad.
It'll get you.
It really got me.
There's a lot of work you put in.
Yeah, it was too. Arguably, you know, all work and no play makes Jack age a lot. And yeah, but no, we had there's sort of really nice gang from our uni of friends from like across different years. Jimmy was the year above me, but was the star boy. So you're listening to a production produced by one of the University of Westminster's
Star Boys,
top journalism star boys.
I think you may be the most connected man in BTL. Because
Really?
there's like, basically there's a lot of people who I don't know that you know. And then you'll walk into a room and it's pretty much instantly greeted with like a hug
That's nice.
or a little exchange.
I've just been about a bit. I think I like started performing when I was 18, and there's a lot of actors that I've known from that time, and a lot of performers and a lot of producers. I've been like, this is the weird thing about doing a decade retrospective at 31, because you're like, you know, it was there's a joke in the show where I sort of talk about the stuff I'd done, and I was like, when I was 25, Penguin asked me to write a memoir. What? I couldn't even use a dishwasher properly. Yeah, I had written a memoir. It was stupid, but it was a kind of memoir meets advice guide.
Has that been published?
Thing. Yeah, it's been published. It's called Cheer the Fuck Up. It's really bad. It's not my greatest writing.
Can you bring us a copy and we can add it to our not this library?
I can if you want.
You've got one.
Yeah, take Jimmy's.
Of course, Jimmy.
Sorry, Jimmy.
We'll get you up next to Nigel Slater in the co-working table.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's very sweet, but I don't. It's nice because I feel like I have been around a bit, and I think that's why I quite enjoy celebrating my various failed projects, because nothing's ever been like a huge disastrous failure, but I've certainly felt at times like I either haven't made things in the way that I would like to make them, or I've made them in a way that just felt very kind of like emotionally unhealthy. I also think when I first started making stuff like 10 years ago, there was this real theme that I like really think all of my slightly older mentors in the performance world were just like encouraging you to really overshare. Everything was like very personal. There was a big boom of like autobiographical stuff. With retrospect now, there are some stuff that I would never have waded into creatively that I used to just like talk about so freely. And I think it's maybe like the advent of social media played a part in that, and there was like a new kind of type of like comedy performance. There were like people really bearing their souls on stage at the Edinburgh Fringe. I remember I did a second show of mine called Happy Hour that I think Jimmy saw the one and only time I ever did it in London, and I like hated it. I did it at the Fringe, hated it, never did it ever again.
Yeah.
Because it was just like I think there's like a real just pressure to be like, be your authentic self. There's no one like you. Talk about, and now I feel like, well, actually, I was still like figuring myself out and still sort of going through a lot of stuff. And I think it's really, now actually I've sort of become quite a like proponent for speaking to a lot of younger writers and actors and performers and being like, you really have to set your own boundaries quite strictly about what you're willing to write about, what you're willing to share. I felt at times quite like college prospectus did, which is like, I felt like there were a lot of people who would kind of use me and be like, here's this amazing young writer whose dad's died, can't wait to hear his authentic story. And now I'm just like, oh, that was really crass. And I think a big part of Big Boys was me trying to ever so slightly kind of reclaim elements of that. Because often, you know, like a sort of story that you tell, when it then gets like boiled down into a press release, becomes like just the most kind of gratuitous headlines of it. So I'd sort of feel like my whole career sort of would just be defined as like boy whose dad died. And now I sort of feel like I've like managed to reclaim that, and I'm making the joke rather than someone in the art sort of sympathetically kind of being like,
does that kind of connect in as like the impact that has on like your mental health? And as a writer,
100%.
a lot of the time you spend all that time working on something and you've shared it with maybe like 2 or 3 people, and all of a sudden it's out in the world and people have opinions and all the rest of it. And you kind of touched on it just then with social media being more prominent now, and you kind of bits and bobs are rehashed and shared and all the rest of it. It's like a constant reminder that if you're not fully kind of behind what you've done, it's a very unusual place to be in as a young person, that normally you could have an embarrassing moment on a night out or a conversation that you didn't like how it ended up, and that's kind of it. And then you have your job. Whereas in your shoes and for other people in a similar position, it's like, that's happened. You might not feel 100% comfortable about it, and now it's there for everybody.
Yeah, I'm a bit more guarded now, and really try to like advise a lot of young performers, especially. I think that's why I've still always gone up to the Fringe even when I've not been performing, and I really love watching people do their like first shows. Like, it was such a fun, exciting time. Like, my first show, Good Grief, is definitely the thing I'm proudest of. And that was when I made something without any of that kind of contrived sort of commodification of oneself. Like, it was really purely written and made out of like a proper burning desire story in me. And at our uni, like, you could hire tech from this guy called Hassan, who would just like kind of like be like, you can collect a camera and a microphone at 10:04 a.m. and it must be back at 11:56 a.m. in 48 hours, and you'd be like, okay, great. And then I would go and like shoot stuff, and I remember making all these videos with my nan and making all these videos with mates of mine. And I think when I was editorially in control, I really loved it. And I was making stuff that I was really proud of, even if it wasn't perfect or slick. the essence of it was quite authentic. And then when you sometimes hand that over to a production team or a broadcaster or a publisher or an editorial group, they fully have their own agenda of how they want to package, position, edit and tell your story that ultimately is going to recoup any cost that they've spent on you and you know, be editorially in their own guidelines. And I just can't really do that anymore. And I wish I could, because I'd be richer if I really like went hard on the sort of selling of self. But I felt like I did it so much and to so many degrees of embarrassment and projects that I really didn't like. I think Big Boys, towards the end, I really fought to sort of have the editorial control that I had, and I'm much prouder of it because of that. Like sort of by the last 2 episodes, I wasn't really listening to any notes from anyone.
Everybody, I think, has learnt to understand the value of spending time to do something with your physical body in terms of movement in order to help regulate all that anxiety and the stress that kind of goes hand in hand with that. Was that ever part of your understanding of yourself at that younger age, or was that something that just never had been discussed, like the benefit of it? Because people intuitively know if you go out and go for a walk in the park,
you feel better,
but it's not discussed, is it? Like, and it's so easy to forget and get stuck working on something and writing something and feeling the pressure of it.
Yeah, definitely. I wish that I had sort of discovered it more, or just sort of discovered what worked for me a bit more. I think at the time I was very much under the illusion that like writing was my outlet and performing was my outlet, and that was where I got all of my like cathartic workings out. But truly that was just because I was too skint to get therapy. You know, I would have probably done therapy more at a younger age. And if I'd have known like the benefits that I do feel after like doing a good workout or going on a really long walk, I'd be really anxious in my early 20s of like being on my own for too long. I'd be like, I've got to hang out with someone, I've got to do something. Like now, I love being by myself. I love just like popping in the AirPods, like walking for like an hour, don't know really where I'm going, meandering around. I think I've like perhaps got a little bit better at isolation, and actually I really like going away by myself now, which I always thought I would really hate. I'd be like, people would be like, yeah, I just went away on a little trip, and I'd be like, all right, loser, it's because you got no mates. And now I'm like, oh, let me go to Vienna for a week by myself. And friends would be like, oh, I'll come. I'm like,
no, please don't.
I'm like really, especially because and I think it is also because the favourite part of my job, I don't like writing. Writing is boring. It's like so lonely and dull. And people who love writing, like actual writers, they're just so nerdy and like they can't. They've got really bad soft skills, I'd say. It's just socially awkward and connect. I really don't have that many writer friends.
I can see
all
why.
My friends are
you just slagged them all off.
Yeah, listen to that. No, I think all my friends are actors and comedians because I just feel like they're a bit more in the real world, if that makes sense. I feel like I need to test this in front of like real people first and not a room of screenwriters where we're all like...
Very,
Because it just...
It's a big test of it, isn't it? It's having the bottle to do that a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to sit around with people that you know and be like, that's good. But then putting it out there into the world, you're like, oh, actually, maybe it isn't. Yeah,
I think you do need to... And I'm always sending jokes to sort of different friends of mine who I think occupy very sort of different cultural like likes and wants and of what they want out of, you know, watching stuff. And I'm always like, is this funny, is this and that. I try and do my own like market research. But I think the next show I write, I want to do... Have you ever been to the Bill Murray in Angel? Like great little comedy pub, you should go sometime.
I'll try my best.
I would want to like do like little mini read-throughs with little casts, interchangeable casts of comedians,
little table reads of
kind of like mini table
like
reads,
a couple
of
of scenes kind of thing.
Yeah,
that'd be so entertaining.
Different people to come in.
Yeah, you do it.
I could totally do it here.
Put you in the lounge.
Yeah,
hell
yeah, we could do it here.
You.
Actually, it might be better doing it here because it's I can sort of contain it a bit more because I don't really want like
actors as well.
Loads of stuff.
I don't want
someone to be like,
people that come. If you manage to do that, that'd be so funny.
Yeah,
I'd like that.
I get Siobhan McSweeney.
Yeah.
Leo Woodall.
Nicola.
Ambica loves a bit of improv.
Oh, I love Ambica.
She's
Ambica's one of my real.
We also
true
did say when we
faves.
did the podcast with Ambica, and we said we would do improv with her.
Oh really?
So maybe that could be, you could facilitate.
Okay, great.
Because otherwise it's
So
one
now,
of those.
so now we're not doing a script at all. You're just giving us a scene.
No, but he
giving you
wants.
ideas.
He was like, I'm just going to drop things in.
Yeah.
I just drop things. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that I just like sort of testing it in front of people. That's I think the only real sort of challenge I found is just the kind of it's just harder, I think, to write without that for me.
Do you find it's quite like draining, that process? Because it's obviously you've spent the time sitting and writing, which you've confessed is your least favourite part, and you have
Hate
no
it.
respect for writers.
No.
Then you've also got.
I know that I should pedal and be like, no, I'm only joking, but I don't want to. I don't want to let writers off. No, I hate you all.
Yeah.
If you're not a performer or a comedian or
Try
an actor
harder.
as well, try harder.
Yeah, I think that's
Shut up
fair.
moaning all the time.
Do you find it's then you obviously have that, you're writing something and working on something at the same time you're thinking about the importance of trying to test it out and not maybe always getting the opportunity? Is that quite like physically and emotionally draining in a way, going through that process? Or it's just sort of part of the job?
It's just part of the job. I'm not too stressed about it. I mean, the annoying thing as well is that one of the shows that I'm writing at the moment, there is no way in hell that the streamer in question are going to let me read any of it in front of the general public to ascertain whether it's accessible or not, because they're just like, no, that's our script, we own the copy, like,
Is
we
this
just
the
own
thing?
it.
I remember you talking about, you were saying we were training one day and you were finding it quite, maybe not confusing is the wrong word, but you were having to basically embody like an old woman, a younger man, and like those three different kind of characters. And you were like, I've got to finish this thing, and I've got to go between being an old lady, a teenage boy, and it's someone else.
I think that was, there was a part last year where I was writing on Adrian Mole, which is going to be a great adaptation for the BBC of like that sort of kind of young teenage coming of age. But well, it's a book adaptation, which is actually a challenge in and of itself because I've not really done that before. But that definitely, I was like having to go from writing a 13-year-old boy, and then I was also writing on an HBO show that is a sort of woman going through a divorce, and I was very hard to switch between the two, and at points just going like, oh, they've moulded into one.
The same person.
Because that was why I think at
person.
that period of time, getting in the gym was actually really important for you. To be
Yeah,
like, because you were
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuck, you were stuck in the
Yeah.
headspace of the divorcing lady and the teenage boy.
And the teenage boy.
And getting you in the gym to just talk a bit of nonsense, but also
Yeah, to figure the two
move,
out.
move around probably helped clear your head a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely something that I think won't ever happen again. I don't ever really want to be trying to write two, although at the time there was 3 shows at the same time. I'm never doing that
I
ever
don't know how
again.
you even juggle that mentally. How to juggle that.
I'd
No.
struggle to read 2 different books at the same time.
Yeah, 100.
Like-
It felt like I was reading 3 books at the same time. And, recently I watched the film Sliding Doors, and I like paused it halfway through. Now, the point of Sliding Doors, if anyone hasn't watched it, is it's like Gwyneth Paltrow. There's like the film follows 2 routes, one where she makes a tube train and one where she doesn't, and
Like
how
the
her
butterfly
life
effect
changes.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
But because I paused it halfway through and then tried to rewatch it, I couldn't remember which one was which. And I was like, oh, wait, is he dead? Is she? Oh, no, is she shagging him now? I don't know. I had to start it again from the beginning. You can't pause Sliding Doors and come back to it. And that
Which
was
one has short hair? One of them does.
one of
Don't know
them's
which
got
one.
short hair. I won't give you a spoiler in case you watch it, but yeah,
It's a great film.
it was a very tricky thing to be doing, and I don't think I'll ever do it again.
That was a
Smart.
period when I guess like it was really important for you to double
Yeah,
down
to
on
come-
the
100%.
physical
That was when
health
you
side of
started,
things.
right?
That was when I started here about 6 months ago now, maybe
Mhm.
7 months, and I think that's also what I would really like to do moving forward. I think it's like a really important sort of like wiping your browser history. Like if I get on a cross trainer for half an hour, I am just like kind of doing a bit of a clear out. I'm finally closing all the Safari tabs of my own brain a bit, and I think that is a sort of I think that sometimes you have to sort of force yourself to do because I'll really overthink absolutely everything. There'll probably be something I've said in the last 40 minutes that I'll go home and carry with me for the next 10
Well,
years.
luckily we're training, and then we can
Oh,
clear all
that's
those
true.
tabs.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
we'll send this to you so you can edit it.
Okay,
as well.
good.
Don't you worry.
But I trust Jimmy. I think, yeah. I also think I really didn't have a sport or an exercise or a physical activity that I like particularly loved as a kid. That then was my sort of gateway to fitness or keeping fit. And I think that I really feel sometimes a little bit like, oh, I wish I'd like had one thing I just really loved. And I think at times I maybe did. I think I actually like really loved rugby, but everyone at my school that loved rugby was just such a tosser that I couldn't really get into doing it, because I definitely was probably like, oh no, I'm gay and they'll just find out and then they'll throw balls at me. Well, it's quite nice thought, but like, do you know what I mean? I sort of feel like I was sort of maybe a bit like, I really enjoyed the actual sport, but thought the social side of it was maybe not for me, and found more solace, you know, in the Mr. G Summer Heights High Drama Studio. But yeah, I think that's maybe a big part of why so many gay guys now like become then addicted to the gym, because they kind of, fitness feels like a very intimidating space when you're growing up or going through all those feelings, and then you either lean into it or like, you know, find your own way of doing it in solitude. But I just never did. I was just sort of quite intimidated by gyms, quite intimidated by I suppose like that kind of maybe comparison culture that I just presumed was there, which there is none of that here at all.
I think we've been quite mindful in trying to make an environment that didn't have that, and I think that myself, George, and Josh all were the kids that kind of lent into sport probably, but also had other interests as well, and saw the like other side of it. Yeah, and knew that those spaces can make a lot of people uncomfortable, and actually you end up not doing more harm than good, but being very excluding to quite a big population.
Yeah.
I feel like I was intimidated by gyms for years, even as someone that was working out of one.
Well, I actually went into this like big bodybuilder gym recently. There's one not too far away from where I live. I was more just intrigued by it to go and be like, what is it like in there? So I went in.
That's where I last saw you.
We were there together.
I was having a great time.
You were just in the corner staring at people.
Yeah,
dead eye contact.
Writing notes about it.
And I walked in and I was like, oh fucking hell! Like, I don't know. The machines are all different. All the people were just like insanely inflated versions of a normal person.
Okay.
And I was just like, this is a wild space to walk into.
Yeah.
Now that you've kind of found a bit of an interest in exercising and participating in those kind of physical activities, have you got things that are now like new parts of your routine in a sense, like your daily kind of routine? I
do try to do what George told me a couple of months ago, which is at least 10k steps a day. The more I can just replace travel with foot, I'm doing a lot, and I've been cycling a lot more than I used to. I think there's maybe also something about getting older as well. I mean, I'm not old, but I definitely have become aware of like, oh yeah, I should probably like keep my joint health in good nick. Oh yeah, I should probably start like considering that I will age.
I think that just happens when you go over 30.
Yeah, I got to 31, 32 and was like, oh Christ.
You start feeling things, and pretty much everybody I've spoken to starts feeling things at about that age in different levels, but then you're like, oh, I need to do X, Y, Z now. Yeah. Which you never would have had to consider.
Well, I've had a few like health things the last couple of years, and one that just recently got diagnosed, which is the nerdiest illness of all time, which is eustachian tube dysfunction, where it's this ear, one of the tubes in this ear just ain't doing it right. Ain't tubing, ain't balancing me that well.
You semicircular canals?
Yeah, I get really bad spells of dizziness sometimes.
Hey, you're looking at someone who suffers.
Oh, really?
That would be me as well.
Too dizzy, man.
I've had it, but when I had the first really bad spell of it, it was the January of 2023,
Mm-hmm.
and we had all of these deadlines coming up for Big Boys, and everyone was like, it's stress. But I was like, I don't know if it is. Like, I'm quite a resilient person, but I was dizzy all
Really
the
not
time.
like nauseating, and you literally can't even walk in a straight line.
It was the kind of like borderline vertigo, but it was also just like my vision perception was off.
Mm-hmm.
My ears were, if I was somewhere really, really noisy or really, really loud, I couldn't focus. I couldn't do stuff. It was really awful. The first time I had it, I was like, I'm going clinically insane. I'm going to have to be, put in somewhere. And then everyone was like, okay, let's look at this. And I saw a neurologist, and all this stuff happened. And it just turned out to be my ears. But the like actual manifestation of feeling dizzy, and then there's something called the dizzy anxious cycle, where the more dizzy you get, the more anxious you get, because dizziness is your body alerting you to something being wrong, which then alerts your your anxiety to then and then you start getting anxious because you're still dizzy, and then the longer you're dizzy, the more anxious. I was just like at some points just like sort of sobbing on the floor, like I can't walk to the bus stop, because sometimes I go in a supermarket and it would be like my eye like that.
So I had a similar thing, which was to do with, you have, for anyone that's interested in the anatomy of it, you have these little canals in your ear, which are filled with fluid, and the walls of them are lined with like tiny hairs, and the movement of little crystals within the fluid tells those hairs where you are in relation to your own self, which then, through what you're seeing, establishes how balanced you are and how comfortable you are in a space. And I would get this like mad waves of like dizziness, and it's quite funny. I was trying to figure out which things were making it worse, and I basically like amplified the intensity of it like a million times.
Great.
And my wife walked into the living room, and I was sitting there going, Emily, are my eyes moving? Because the room was literally going like boom, 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 like side, up and down. And she was like, oh my God. She's like, it's like someone is playing ping pong with your eyeballs. And they were just going like, I had no control over it. And they were just like, ding, 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 ding.
It's awful. Did you do that maneuver?
Yeah.
There's all these little maneuvers you can do where you like...
This is turned into a whole... This is just an ears podcast
tilt
now.
for 30 seconds.
Yep.
See, that doesn't work for me.
No,
which is really annoying.
But what works...
No, the doctor was like, all you have to do is spend 5 minutes...
I think I have a fix for it if you're willing to put yourself in ping pong eyeballs territory.
Well, I've got a fix for mine, but you go first.
My thing, which I stumbled across, and to be honest, it was one of the worst sensations ever. It was horrible. It ruined the rest of my day. But I would have my head like on leaning back, and then really quite aggressively was like flicking from side to side.
No, that's a vestibular rehab exercise.
It reset me for like about 3 or 4 months, but it was horrendous.
Yeah.
Like for the rest of the day, I didn't know, like you're saying, walking into a shop and just feeling uncomfortable.
Well,
I couldn't talk properly.
In future, I want you to text me. I'm going to help you. Okay?
We're
holding hands. We're holding hands. Because I went to see a vestibular rehab therapist who's like physically looking at like how your body and your ears and your eyes and all this stuff. And there's all these exercises you do, and one of them is moving your head side to side, and trying to really focus on things, because when you're dizzy, you're just like whole visual perception goes off. I even get anxious like talking about it sometimes, because I'm like, is it going to come back? But I've had like 5 severe bouts of it now, and each time it comes, my anxiety and my capacity to keep doing stuff lessens. It's not great. It's not nice. Sometimes you wake up and you just feel really nauseous and really sick. You understand. And I also think the biggest thing is understanding it's a temporary measure, and it's almost like an inflammatory response. It's like an immune response to something that we would typically have.
One thing we could do, because
nostril balloons. Have you heard of this?
What's that?
Nostril balloons. One thing we could do is nostril balloons.
Is it where you put a balloon up and spread your sinus?
Yes, and it opens everything here.
I need one of them.
Sometimes can reset all the tubes and everything realigns.
Maybe when we spoke at the start about round 2 of this podcast. Do we need an expert in nostril balloons for that?
Voilà. Je m'appelle Jacques. D'accord. On y va. Le ballon de nostril.
And you only administer this treatment in French?
In French.
Okay. I can't remember if I pre-warned you about this, but we have a section called Humbled in Hollywood.
Humbled and what? Yeah.
Basically, it's where we ask people. This sounds like I forgot to tell you, but I think you'll be fine with it. I don't think you'll struggle here.
Okay.
Where you go? Where you go?
You feel like he's going to leave.
I brought a bottle of water.
You're just about to leave.
I'm going to prepare myself.
Just gonna
But I
run
haven't
away.
brought a bottle of water. Let's do it.
Essentially, all it is, it's like
Yeah.
from
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
from the outside, often people, and we've kind of spoken about all this stuff anyway up till now, but people often see the people we work with and assume like everything must be great and everything's fun and
Yeah.
there's no embarrassment and all the rest of it because they're living such fun and perfect lives. And it's just an opportunity to share a story which has been slightly humbling or a slightly embarrassing moment. And we do
Oh.
sometimes
I feel like you
ask-
do this for a living
Exactly,
anyway.
exactly.
Okay, well, I've got one that's slightly relevant
Okay.
to what we were just talking about. I had to do my very first. So when you start out in stand-up, you do like spots. You do like a 5-10 minute bit on a kind of mixed bill night. I'd not done one in about 7 or 8 years, and I said to my agent, right, we've got a tour that I need to try and sell. Let me try and start doing some spots again. Let me like get back into the sort of comedy
This is quite
circuit.
recently.
This was like 10 days ago.
Oh, wow.
I haven't done something like that in a long time. I wrote a set for it and I arrived and it was a venue that sounded like a pub. And I was like, okay, it's in a pub. Great. Very, how humbling to go from selling out at the Soho Theatre. And I recently did a gig at the Royal Festival Hall for 750. Let's go to this pub. It wasn't a pub. It was a bar on a boat on the Thames.
What?
Amazing.
And when I got on this boat, the second I stepped on it, this wave of dizziness hit me,
Oh, dear.
like Miley Cyrus on a wrecking ball. I was like, oh my! I was like back and forth. It was despicable. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this gig. This is gonna trigger like a 6-week vertigo spell in me. There's a lovely comedian on the bill called Helen Bauer, and she was on second. And I was like, Helen, can I please swap with you because I just need to go on early, get this done, and get off this boat. She was like, right, okay, let me take you down into the boat. I was like, are we not performing up here? And she was like, no. So we go down into like the
belly of the
belly
boat.
of
The hull.
the belly of the ship,
The hull.
and it is disgusting, mate. It stinks. It is.
Where is this boat?
Rocket. It's on
So
the Thames. It's on the Thames near Embankment. I mean, I'm probably someone's gonna like write my agent an RC email if they listen to this. But I'm sorry, sort your boat out. It's not a nice boat. All right. It's rocking, it's swaying, I'm spinning, I'm feeling more and more sick. I'm doing what I can only describe as like full-on sicky burps. All the whilst making my like stand-up comedy comeback. I walk into like the green room. The green room is like a tiny, like I would say smoking areas, big enough size of the ship, like a back corner with like just a red curtain pulling you from the audience. And I was like,
just a nauseous
this
man
is
behind
me.
the
This is
curtain.
me humbling myself. This is what real life comedy is. This is like legit. This is like the proper gigging comics life. And I went sheet white pale. A guy went on before me, did pretty well, but like it didn't feel like the crowd were that warmed up. And then I went out and I performed. I sort of do like weird, still kind of like weird comedy poems with stand up in the middle, but the poems are just like funny. I came up with like a sparkly ring binder from Ryman's that's like got kind of rainbow glitter all over it. And I was like, I'm going to do my first poem. It's called Charlie XCX's One Fat Friend. And it's a poem I've written where I envision being in Charlie XCX's friendship group and we're all on a night out going for dinner and I'm the only fat one there and no one's eating anything. And then everyone's off doing coke and I'm just sat there while everyone's in the loo and I'm like, this meal is amazing, where is everyone? And then at the end of it, Charlie XCX comes out and she's like, babe, I've got you, and she brings me all of the leftovers in Tupperware in a bag.
Nice.
So it's a love of piece
That's a really
about Charlie.
kind thing
I
for
love
her to
Charlie
do.
XCX and I'm happy to be her fat friend if she would want me to. I did this poem on this boat to what I can only describe as like 50 small C conservative straight couples
Oh no.
who didn't know who Charlie XCX was, B didn't really know who I was, and C something hit the boat halfway through the set, and like I fully just did a sicky burp. I just did a sicky burp. I just did a big old sicky burp. No one laughed. A woman on the front row actively yawned in my face, and my agent was in the room and there were loads of agents and it was this big showcase. Who's going to go to the Montreal Comedy Festival? I finished this set. It went disastrously. Rather than go back into the green room, I just walked forward through the crowd because I was like, I need to get to the toilet. I need to be sick. Lovely comedian called Iowade. She held my coat and my sparkly ring binder while I chucked up streams of vomit in the gents' loos on this boat. And then I came out and I just immediately left because I had to, because I was just so ill. And I can only describe it as, have you guys ever watched Veep?
Yeah.
You know Selena Meyer in Veep, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She's like the first female president of the United States. And the whole point is she's like lovely and friendly, but secretly she's just like a monster. She's like an egotistical, narcissistic, careerist bitch. And that's like the joke.
Politician.
The second I got off this boat, I was like, texting my agent, I've won a fucking BAFTA. I've got a fucking BAFTA and you've made me do the big boat fucking comedy show. I have never seen a colour of sick come out of my body since I was at you. I was like, that was Jaeger bomb sick. It smelled of piss and
like
shit.
It's her fault.
I truly had the biggest diva fit I've had in a long time. And my agent fully humbled me. She went, you said you wanted to do stand-up gigs. You've become a pretentious, jumped up little screenwriter. And I was like, don't call me a screenwriter, I'm a comedian. And anyway, and then I went to Greg's and had a mint tea.
A mint tea
in Greg's?
Yeah, it was the nearest. It was the nearest cafe. Absolutely not. Not with where my stomach was. Iowade had a vegan sausage roll. I had a mint tea. She sort of walked me there when I just like post vomiting.
Buy a mint tea at Greg's.
Well,
It's
you
a
can
tea
buy a
bag.
mint tea. It's a peppermint. It's not fresh.
No.
It's not fresh.
Not fresh baked.
It's not fresh. It's not fresh baked mint tea. But anyway, I had this mint tea and then looked at the texts I just sent and slowly went and deleted them all and said, I'm really, really sorry about that series of texts. Actually, I have been humbled. And yeah, it was great. It was really nice to
Looking back on this
fail.
as a positive experience.
Yeah, I don't want to do any stand-up sets anymore. I'm not going to do them.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't.
Just do specials. It's
I'm
fine.
just going to do... It really was, I mean, texting my agent, I've won a fucking BAFTA. Why did you make me do the Big Boat comedy show? One of the lowest moments of both my personal and professional life.
We didn't mention how hilarious your Instagram account is and how we both, me and Dave,
that's very
secretly,
One of my favourite
privately
things you've
get
done recently
a
was
lot of
when
pleasure
you
out of it.
when you like chopped out the picture of Lily Allen off the front of the album as if she was sitting having dinner with you. That was just that got me so bad.
Hey, look.
It's
That
like
album.
it was a little screen grab that you just put up and I was like, there's something so funny about that.
I do like testing jokes on Instagram. That is another thing that I use. I did a lot of jokes on Big Boys, especially series 2 and 3. I would Instagram story them, see how they went down,
so
and
you're
if they
market
went
research
badly, like I'd be like, "Oh, let's do it."
Clever.
But I would use.
I thought you were just being funny.
I used to use Twitter a lot before you know the descent of Twitter into fascism. I used to use that an awful lot to test out jokes. There are loads. People would message me on Instagram being like, "I remember you tweeted that
Retweeting
joke."
from whenever.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, that's." I just really have to test stuff in front of people because I think it's arrogant to not do that. I think that's maybe my I do like other writers. I actually would like to be on record saying I do love a lot of writers, and it's quite a tricky job to do. And in this country, unlike the US, we are kind of treated like, scummy, plague-ridden rats. But I do think that it's quite lonely, and if you don't test those jokes out on as wide a group of people, then you're not writing for an audience. You're writing for yourself. And I always want to feel like I'm writing for an audience, because any time I've ever done anything and it has just been for me, I've not really enjoyed that ever being in the public space. There are things that I wrote at the start of my career, to go full circle back, that I wish were just things that I'd written for myself, that had never gone out there. They were things I'm proud of, but there are things that didn't need any audience other than me.
Yeah.
And that kind of catharsis is something that I suppose maybe I'm getting from being here and doing a workout. Like, that's just me doing me for a bit. It's like very tailored. Yeah. And I think anytime, especially because of social media and like just having a creative career, we feel like anything we make or anything we do needs to be charted or publicized or, has a sort of like, imprint that other people can be involved in. And I suppose I'm realising more and more, there are some things like this where it's really fun to share, and other things that I just want to keep to myself.
It's very wise words, and a nice way to kind of bring this thing to its natural conclusion.
Wise wicked witch. Flip it around and then flip it back. Wise words.
You've been so...
Oh no, it was that. It wasn't that.
But also just such a
wicked witch.
Quality fall from pure honesty and just a you being silly hand signs that we learned when we were at school.
That was. Do you remember that was
whatever?
What was whatever McDonald's worker? That was awful that we did that. Whatever McDonald's worker.
I don't think I've ever done that. I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah, why are you tarring us with that?
Yeah, and also
before the hand signals, I was trying to bring it towards where we'll talk about what's coming up next for you.
Oh, great! Well,
but now we're all the way back in year 7 now.
I'm actually a new form of sign language.
We're all the way back in year 7, slagging each other off with that.
Lily, Alan. Okay, no. What am I doing next? Well, you tell me. In the immediate future, I'm doing a PT session with George that I'm very excited for, because we've not trained since September together.
This is true.
And I had a session with you last week. Mm-hmm. Had a session with young Josh the other day. That was great.
You're off to a good start.
Off to a good start. Although with you, I did split the arse of my shorts doing a goblet squat. I will say I've had those shorts for about 10 years.
You didn't tell me that.
Yes, I went and got changed into a different pair of shorts. Oh, no, that was in front of Josh. Sorry.
I was going to say, how am I not remembering? I've been very tired recently.
I did a goblet squat, and Josh was like, and then hit your bum on the bench. It's like, go down, hit your bum on the bench, and then come back up. Hit your bum on the bench. And I did it, and I hit the bum on the bench. It was like, great. I've had those shorts since I was at uni with Jimmy, and they're now bust.
I think for the best.
I think for the best.
So what's next for you is buying more shorts.
Is buying more shorts. I'm writing. I'm about to go on this big UK tour.
You've got your Edinburgh show?
Yeah, doing
I really think we should try and bring a little BTL crew up to Edinburgh.
I've never been to Fringe.
Please come.
Absolutely love
Can you help us?
Yeah, it's so fun.
Help us with tickets. Give us tickets.
I can help facilitate that for sure. You can definitely have tickets. I'm also doing it at the Roundhouse on the 14th of August.
Easier, and
that would be easier.
Also, one of the best venues in the UK to do anything.
My favourite place ever.
It's the best.
That would have been probably where Jimmy saw a lot of my first gigs. I did a load of stuff there. I'm launching this new commission with the Roundhouse to sort of lobby the government and work with something called the Centre for Young Lives to look at how we get more and more young people into the arts, because it's becoming more and more exclusionary, and a lot of art subjects are getting cut in state schools or discouraged, and youth centres have gone down, and youth unemployment's up to 17%. And and I also feel like when I am in some of those writers' rooms and everyone either owns a house or has a parent that works in the industry, and even though they're some of my friends and they're really talented and I love them, I am a little bit God, this is a bit bleak at times. Yeah. So we're sort of...
That sounds amazing. That sounds really
the
important.
Roundhouse are an amazing place that get a lot of 15 to 30-year-olds in to do creative courses. Underneath the main stage, there's all these little creative studios, and people are writing and making radio and podcasts and DJing and whatnot. So we're trying to sort of launch this commission that I really want to take quite seriously in terms of how to actually lobby the government with solutions, rather than just be there's a problem here. I'm no, but let's troubleshoot the problem and find out through research and talking to people how best we can have the Roundhouse model, but around the UK and in different areas, and get more young people. In the way that I think in sport, we've done really well since the Olympics. I think the Olympics legacy of 2012 actually did work. Especially our female athletes. No offence, boys, but the girls have been doing great across the board for a while. And actually so have the boys at times.
They've come on.
They've come on. They've definitely come on. Declan Rice, if you're listening, you can always text me. Oh no, he's got a lovely girlfriend actually. So no, not you, Declan. But if he has a friend,
Also,
you can.
texting, you just assume he has your number already.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he has my number.
Okay.
All the closeted footballs have my number. I'm joking. That's a joke. But yeah, so that I'm really excited about, and we've got one of the guys from the Premier League who's on the board is going to help us try and sort of figure out how we kind of really help schools and colleges and places that are constantly in the schedules of young people. I don't know what, or make young people actually make time to do something creative. So yeah, that'll be fun.
That sounds incredibly worthful.
Yeah,
sounds like an amazing.
And I'm writing TV shows that I can't talk about, and that probably won't get made because the end of times. It's nice to catch up with you.